Theresa Cox has been selling on eBay for more than 20 years. She was also the first ever user of List Perfectly and an early champion of List Perfectly to the seller community. Welcome back, Theresa. And since you are also the numbers geek, I do believe you are technically now the most frequent guest on the show with, I think, 6 appearances. So congratulations.
When do I get my gold watch?
Yeah, I think we're going to do velvet jackets.
And FYI, over 25 years.
That's right. That's right.
So,
well, welcome back to the show.
Welcome, Theresa.
Welcome.
Guys, like this is like just, sitting here chatting on a Thursday morning over coffee or something. Like, this is my friends, my family. It's like, hey, what's happening? Don't forget to take the trash out.
For those that are not watching and just listening, I have to bring this up. I love your microphone is red and the anti-pop, okay, is lined in red, okay? So I just want to give a visual for those of you. Club Red 97 is Theresa's store, eBay store everywhere. Unique, Teresa.
But I let everyone down because I didn't wear a red shirt, and they wore red shirts for me. And
yes.
I failed.
How could I not? Mandy, you didn't wear.
I didn't get the memo.
T-shirt.
I didn't get the memo either, Mandy. So
the Slack.
There is no memo required. This is the etiquette and the protocol required every time we interview from now on, Theresa. Everybody wears red.
Got it.
Let me update my rider.
Well, we have to say, Theresa, many things you've been so instrumental for Amanda and myself as person. Amanda and Clara, they're resellers. But would you mind sharing with our audience, please? How did you discover List Perfectly?
I didn't discover List Perfectly. List Perfectly discovered me. So I've told the story before, but for those that don't know, I run a eBay sellers meetup group here in the Phoenix area called EVs, because if everybody knows I'm all about the acronym. So it's East Valley Innovative eBay Sellers. And I'm guessing that Amanda and Clara found me on a meetup group or something like that and came to my meetup in February 2019 and listened to me talk about whatever I was talking about in that night. And then afterwards, they stayed and told me about this program that they had done. And it was at that time, I think it was more about listing faster and making listing faster. And so I was very intrigued, like, tell me more. And, that just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, I have to say, Theresa, meeting you at that event was really special. And I remember you had just gotten back from a trip that you'd taken to eBay. So you came back with all this eBay swag, and we talked about it. I even got an eBay shirt. I thought that was so cool how much you shared with the community about eBay. And I could tell right away just what an important person that you were in the community, and how much you knew, how much your knowledge of selling in general was, even beyond eBay. So, I mean, for me, meeting you was just I was honored. Let's just say that. And then talking to you, I just want to share with the audience how warm and gracious and open. You didn't know me, and you were very willing and open to talk to me. And I want to share that with the audience, that's just who Theresa is.
Yeah. And I want to give the credit to Amanda. Amanda was I was in severe pain. I was in excruciating pain. And one thing that I remember when I first met you, Teresa, I said you saw my pain, and you saw that it took me like literally, maybe 10 minutes to get out of the car and walk and go and sit down was like, it wasn't even an option. I remember I just want to bring that up, that you truly saw the team that we had, and you still believed in us, even though, Amanda it was just Amanda and myself. List Perfectly was Amanda and myself. That was it.
Yep. And that's the fun part of it. It's like, for me, I love doing what I got to do with List Perfectly, and I've done it with other companies, and I do it with eBay to some extent. It's like, I love giving my feedback and giving my opinions. And I tell people all the time, I have opinions, and I will tell you that I like this better. And Amanda knows, I mean, I'll say, okay, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't really like that change because of this. And Amanda will then say, well, you're using it wrong. And I'm like, huh? And so she'll set me straight. And then it's like, okay, I get it now. But so I really liked being able to help develop something that would help me. And, in my way may not be the way of the majority of the community, but it is a way, and it's not the only way. And so I just like having that input. And, when you guys are a startup company and you're developing stuff, you're very open to that. So for me, I was honored that I was lucky. I mean, I really feel like I won the jackpot. Like, you came to my meetup and you talked to me and everything like that. And, at the time we were traveling, and I did go to eBay headquarters, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year on my dime. And, I think I went twice on eBay's dime. But it was important to me because I worked with these teams and I wanted to give my feedback. I wanted to know what was going on, and I wanted to know the truth. There was all these myths and rumors out there about how the platform worked. And I got to actually sit down with the teams that were developing it. And then, even now, I got a message yesterday from somebody at eBay that says, hey, we're testing this out. Can we add it to your account so you can help us? Absolutely. I always say yes. You want me to help you test something out? The answer is always going to be yes. So, so it was definitely a two-way street. You guys had a product that I immediately knew the community. I mean, and here's the thing. When I say immediately knew the community needed, List Perfectly today did not look like the List Perfectly that I knew the community needed. And I tell Clara and Amanda this all the time, like, your vision was way bigger than my vision. And I believed in you, and I knew it was something, but you guys have taken it farther than I could have ever imagined. So, and that's all on you and your, just your involvement with the community.
Wow. What if I tell you that when we launched List Perfectly, I was horrified by our software compared to what Amanda built me. Okay. And there is a saying, Teresa, that they say that if you're not completely horrified about what you launched, okay, and even though it was amazing, List Perfect was amazing, but compared to the version that I have, which is the Pro plan nowadays, with automatic, with delisting, with marking souls, removing listings, and everything else that Amanda built me at that time. But did we launch with templates, Amanda? I don't even think we have templates.
Yes, we did.
Oh my God, it was so basic, List Perfectly, and that I have to give it to you. In incredible feedback you have given us in the community, also always not imposing your way, but also gathering information from the community. What do you want? And helping us discover what the community wants. Thank you for that.
Yeah. For me, when I work with companies like that, I really like to see their response. And, nothing was a better, faster response than what you guys did last week, because I think it was a week ago Friday, somebody on a call said, hey, what if we could do this and add pictures directly to our listings? And it's like you guys took it on as a challenge. Like, we can do that. The following Friday, you were demoing it. And it was like, oh my gosh. And I believe that it was released today.
Well, yeah. And just to clarify, we only allowed pictures to be taken from the phone and upload into the listing. What we did was we sped up that process because it involved an extra click. Every time you needed to go to the next picture, it would exit you back out, and then you'd have to click the plus and go back in. So what we did was we added a little pop-up, and we cleared out a whole click, which when you're listing, that's a lot, right?
Yeah. So imagine it would set you back 1 click per picture. So now it's just next. It's the next button when you're taking pictures natively with List Perfectly mobile. And I hope we have it ready for today, Teresa's Listing 101.
So the point of that is that you guys heard the community and you guys responded to the community and you made it happen. And I'm guessing in my mind, it's like, okay, well, that's going to take some time, but it's not this huge project. Let's see, we can do this. We've got steps 1, 2, 3 done. Let's build steps 4 through 10, and let's see if we can get this out. And so I really appreciate that. Like, that was an instantaneous response. the problem that I'm guessing as a developer that you don't want to do that too often, because then it becomes an expectation to the community and like, why can't we have this now? And you know what? I'll tell people, I have learned a lot. I mean, I always say in my next life, I'm going to be a computer programmer, because I know enough probably just to be dangerous. And by that, I mean, it's like, if this is in a field and this is in a field, you should be able to give me that data someplace else. Like, that's the way my brain. But I have learned, like, there's a lot of things that I know List Perfectly is working on, but like, they'll tell me, you have to build the platform, and then you have to build the first step, and then you can build the second step. You can't just start at the top of the stairs. And so that has been a real learning process for me. It's like, we all want to get to the top of the stairs, but you can't just jump to the top of the stairs. You have to build the platform. And so I appreciate that. So every time we get something new, I'm thinking, okay, what's this going to lead to? What's this going to lead to? And so that's, it's always getting better, always improving, never, ever a price change, which is huge. I love being able to say that to people, because List Perfectly today was not List Perfectly 3 years ago with 4 platforms and templates. And yet, here we are, same price and everything. So that just tells me you guys had the bigger vision. You guys knew what you needed to charge, and you were just going to do that, and not having, okay, we added more features, so now we're going to increase the price by $3, whatever. So
a reminder that thanks to the tests that we did with you, okay, extensively, that's how we decided to remove. Actually, List Perfectly is cheaper than when we started, because back in the day, we charged you for saving listings in the catalog. And I remember charging you for that. And then I still remember charging you for that. And then we're like, Amanda did her magic, and nope, unlimited, that's it. Go unleash it, save your 10,000 listings in LP. You'll pay the same as the one that saves 100 listings.
Yeah. And so, that's a good point, because I said the price didn't change. The price never increased, but it definitely has decreased, and you've added more features, and you've given us all unlimited catalog, which is huge for me. I have over 6,000 eBay listings. I have over 8,000 in my List Perfectly catalog. And so, that's huge. My List Perfectly is going to be, I've got to do one more inventory purge. And when I'm done with that, List Perfectly will be 100% my inventory management tool. And, with 6,000 listings, it took me some time to get off of eBay being that platform to List Perfectly. And, I don't work. It's not like I'm sitting here doing this every day. It's like I'm doing it mostly on the weekends and whatever. So, but it is definitely, all those issues that you have with losing drafts and losing pictures and all that sort of stuff. We don't have that with List Perfectly. So I love it.
So first of all, what was the initial spark between you and Clara and Amanda? And then what was the initial spark that drew you to start using List Perfectly? Because I've known you a while, and I know that you won't endorse something that you don't like or don't use. And we know you're very direct, and that's good. What was it? Because I was kind of surprised too that you, not that you endorsed it, but to see something that you were endorsing.
Well, it was just, I saw the value in list, so we were talking about it, creating listings and doing all this stuff. And I remember saying to Amanda, well, that's great, but what about the 4,000 listings I already have on eBay? And so I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed with that, but it was like, this is great for all my new listings, but what about all the ones that I already have? And 4,000 listings was, overwhelming, because they were just all on eBay. And so, so I did learn at a dinner with Clara and Amanda a while ago that, Amanda, tell the story about how you had 7 different directions to go. Because this is fascinating to me, because I didn't even think about this until you told me the story. And then by talking to me, you kind of figured out. Do you know what I'm talking about, Amanda?
Remind me again.
So you said that when you launched this, it's like you had like 7 different ways to, I'm making 7 up, I don't know, 7 different ways to go. And then by talking to me and asking me what I thought I needed, it helped you focus on what you were going to work on to develop to launch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think our initial first call after that meetup was, something not quite related to the software. It was, it was something else. But in talking to you, I realized, no, I really, let's lead off with the main product that we've been working on, rather than starting something completely different. And that
Oh,
because I
yes.
knew,
Yes.
yeah,
She centered us. She helped us focus.
yes,
Oh my
absolutely,
God.
And I
yeah,
had no clue.
yeah,
Because
Well,
we're like, where do you start? You see, when you're
yeah.
setting the foundation, okay, should we crank the simple plan, the business plan, the pro plan? At that time, we didn't even know what to call them. But I remember we understood your needs, and we're like, no, this is us. And we found so many commonalities between you and
absolutely.
us, even though our inventory couldn't be more different.
Yeah, inventory is inventory. It doesn't matter what it is. It has a number, it has a location, and we all sell it. What has surprised me is I just lost my train of thought. I was just telling you what I thought, what I needed, and I never even thought that. I mean, I knew you guys were taking notes or whatever because you would ask me follow-up questions, whatever. But I never thought that at that time I was helping make these decisions. And then one of the things too is like you have to remember that List Perfectly was just getting started, and so they had been, this is their baby. They'd been working on this for years. And so there was a lot of things that they kept very close to the chest because they didn't know who I was. They didn't know, anything about me. So it was, a little give and take in the beginning until we built up that trust. And it was like, okay, I can trust them. They can trust me. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. Let me spend more time. And that was the other thing that I realized that I do. And it always shocks me because, when I started my first meetup in the Gilbert area, people were like, well, why are you doing this? What's in it for you? And I was like, I don't know, because it's fun and I love doing, like, why does everything have to have something in it for me? And then, as I would be working on these calls or doing stuff or testing things, like, well, what's in it for you? Like, I don't know. Like I'm just helping somebody out. And this is going to be amazing. And it's fun. And why not? Like, I still am flabbergasted at the number of people that ask me, what's in it for you? And
Wow.
it's like, you know what? You believe in a product, you believe in the community, you see that it's going to help the community. So it wasn't anything that was in it for me. It was something that was going to be, I knew it was going to be a game changer for the community. And so was it worth the time and the effort to have those calls and to test things out? And let me just tell you, in the beginning, it was hard. I didn't know how to download an extension. Like, what do you mean there's conflicts? Like, I don't want to learn something new. Amanda, fix it. And then, I mean, Amanda was just so patient with, and Zoom calls before Zoom was a thing. I'm like, ooh, these guys are techie. We're doing a Zoom call. And so, which cracks me up because, like we do Zoom all the time, like, oh, let's do a Zoom link. Yeah, so, it was just that whole thing of developing that trust. And I think that the more I offered to help and the more I offered to do, and, I guess I'm guessing that I delivered because you kept asking me to help. And so, then that trust was formed.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry because I just thought about when we were first talking, right? And back in the day, I don't know if you remember, Clara and I had been using List Perfectly for years, right? So we kind of forgot about the pain point of cross listing. And when I
what problem? I'm like, what?
Yeah, we're like,
everybody's not making $500,000.
So
with minimal inventory.
I remember watching these YouTube videos of people and they were showing their method of cross listing, and it occurred to me, I was like, oh my God, that's horrible, that's so painful. So I remember when we first spoke, it didn't even occur to me to bring up the cross posting part because Clara and I had been doing it for so many years without any effort that, then I think that's when your light bulb went off. And I remember those Zoom calls. Since then, when Theresa was all on board, oh my God, yes, this is a great idea. We had to then get on Zoom calls with the community, with people that you knew, and share this.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because back then it was two reactions. Wow, I think I really need this, or no, I'm fine doing it manually. Right. And it was like a slow start. If you think about it, like people really needed to understand the time that they would save with using a software to do it instead of manual.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I mean, I talk about this all the time, that before List Perfectly, I sold on eBay and I sold on Amazon, two completely different businesses.
Wow.
And so, and I was like, people were like, well, I'm going to cross post, I'm copy and paste everything. I'm like, I did not have time for that. I had so much inventory to list that I didn't care. And to me, eBay was the biggest platform, the best platform. So I was putting my eggs in on eBay and trying to just churn through my death pile. And I didn't have time to do all that manual labor stuff. But with List Perfectly, and you know, I say this all the time, I started list cross posting to Poshmark, and I think I deleted my Poshmark closet twice because this is, I just said this because I was updating something in my List Perfectly catalog. This is the pain point of being an early adopter, because some of my listings that are on Poshmark didn't have the full title, and I didn't take the time to edit everything out. Because when you're cross posting 150 items at a time, I just didn't care. It was just all about getting the stuff up on Poshmark or whatever. And so now I am fixing those because List Perfectly now has a thing that makes it easy for me to fix it. And so I am going through my older listings and just cross posting that over, which then makes it so that it's a newer listing or it has some activity. I'm not really sure how the Poshmark algorithm works, but it creates the title that works and has now 80 characters, and it boosts that listing on Poshmark and gives me some activity or whatever Poshmark needs. And, you know, I from the get-go, I listed on, I mean, I tried all the platforms. Kittison is just one that I just don't do because I don't have enough kid stuff and mom stuff. And it's, I don't understand the platform. But, you know, I say this all the time, I've changed, and when I'm sourcing for Amazon, if I would see something that, you know, is $40 and it was retail value of $350, I would want to buy it for Amazon, but I was gated. Well, now I buy those items and I sell them on Tradesy. And I do that because it's so easy. I'll list it on eBay. I'll list it on Tradesy. And so even my sourcing has changed. Wow. But yeah, before List Perfectly, I wasn't cross posting, and I've tried them all. And, you know, some are my favorites. I do Facebook Marketplace. I do Mercari for seasonal stuff. And, you know, but like the rest of the world, I mean, I'm cross posting to Etsy, Poshmark, eBay. Those are my three regulars. I'm adding Mercari in more regularly, but yeah, before List Perfectly too. And now I do them all in some form or fashion.
Okay. Can I remind you of something, my favorite story of yours?
Okay.
Do you remember the inflatable pools you had?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. On eBay that literally they were, I think they became vintage, okay, being listed on eBay, okay? And then please, would you mind sharing that? I love that story and what happened with Mercari.
Yeah, so I was selling the Intel inflatable pools, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, you know, and I had my brother driving all over the country, and he was buying them and he was shipping them for me and everything. And I was selling a ton of them on eBay. You buy them for $40 and you sell them for 100, 150, whatever, because it was a supply and demand thing. Yeah. And then Amazon gated the listing. And so you had to be Intel to sell it. So I'm okay, what do I do with all these pools? So so then I was like selling them on eBay, reduce the price, but shipping was killing me. Oh. And so Mercari at the time had a flat rate of something like $17 for up to 20 pounds, or maybe it was $11 for up to 20 pounds. I don't remember, but Mercari turned out to be the place to sell them. And so I marked them all down to $99.99 with the, you know, whatever, $17 or $11 shipping. And I got them all out of my garage, and I was never so happy because, and so, you know, so this was an eye opener. These were selling very, very, very well on Amazon for 2 years. Amazon comes in, you know, they do it Friday night at 10 o'clock, shut the listing down for all third-party listers. And then you're stuck with, I think I had 28 pools in my garage. And so it was like, okay, how do I get rid of these? So, you know, and yeah, and Mercari turned out to be, and I hadn't sold on Mercari much before then. So, yeah. So, you know, and this is just knowing the marketplace, knowing what you have, knowing that the shipping was what was killing me on those pools. They were heavy. Yeah. And seeing the opportunity, and it took me that long to get those listings up on Mercari. So, yeah, so that was a fun summer, because that was fun. That was probably in the summer of 2019. Maybe it was 2020, because that I was really going, no, it was the summer of 2019.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Summer of 2019, after we came back from eBay Open.
Yep. And I got them all pushed out before fall, which was exactly what I needed. I needed that room in my garage. So but that was a real fun thing that I would never, they would probably still be in my garage because I would not be manually copying and listening to Macari.
Well, I love that List Perfectly got you to expand beyond eBay because we all know you as eBay girl. But what I love too is you admit that you are still, first user, but you admit that you're still updating listings. You're still updating your catalog. It's an ever evolving thing. But let's get to you. It just came up the summer of 2019. So eBay opened 2019. So you'd met Amanda and Clara and you'd been working with them on this product. And then suddenly so tell us, you said you guys got to go to this. So let's start that story.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, eBay open. It's amazing. If you're a seller, you need to go. And it's in Vegas. And, I didn't really know what their plans were at the time for the marketing. I know I know that List Perfectly had a bunch of, I don't know, a handful of users at this time. Because I remember, and we talk about it now about, oh my gosh, how broke you guys were. But we talk about, this was a marketing genius thing in my mind because, I didn't know it then, but I know it now that we talked about going to eBay Open and you only bought one ticket. And I know now it's because that's all you guys could afford. And, but I was like, because of Clara's bad back, they were going to fly. And I was like, whatever you need, I'm driving. Let's meet up. Because for those of you guys don't know, Phoenix is the 5th largest city in the country. And Clara and Amanda live on one northern end, and I live on the southern end of a town. And it's literally an hour and 10 minutes with no traffic for me to get from my house to their house. So we met up somewhere, and I said, I'll take whatever you guys need. Like, you don't need to put it on the plane, whatever. And I met them up someplace and put it in the car. And then I think it was later, but you guys had run some kind of a special, like you get you pay for you can get 3 months for this price, but you have to pay for it now. And I learned, well, this was for the existing users. I learned that was the money that you guys needed to pay for your and I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, we'll give you this great discount for 3 months, but you got to pay before we go to eBay Open.
Yep. Pay up front.
Oh,
So true.
And it's crazy.
Money was tight.
I know. And you guys, it's so crazy because you guys are, so successful now, but these are the stories. And I wrote something on my Facebook page because I wanted to memorialize my memory of it, because these are the stories that, you laugh at and you go, yeah, I was nervous about this charge and I was nervous about that charge. And it's funny because, they only bought one ticket. And so Clara tells the story about how she was standing outside the doors of eBay, handing out these cards and telling people about List Perfectly. And somebody came up to her, and it was probably the only person in the building that knew who I was. And she mentioned my name, and they were like, okay, well, then you're fine. And I'm like, oh my God, like that was total luck, because while it may have given me a lot of credibility in their eyes that, oh my gosh, Theresa knows everybody. Let me just tell you, it was just very lucky that the person that came up to them happened to know because I'm not that popular. So that to me was fun. It's just fun to reminisce now about those times. And it was so that eBay Open, we talk about this all the time, that Mo Monty was doing she got a suite, and she was doing it for the Boss Facebook group. And so I scheduled, at that time I was working with DataMind as well. That DataMind is another software program that has done some stuff. And I did exactly the same thing. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Can we do this? And so we set up to where DataMind was going to do their demo on Tuesday, and List Perfectly was going to do theirs Wednesday night. And I knew that I couldn't go to both of them because I already had prior commitments. And I really wanted to be there. And I wanted to be there for both of them to see the demos and whatever, and, see the community reaction. And to this day, I'm really bummed that I wasn't there because you guys obviously took off. But it is what it is. You guys had a great turnout. And I love it when people tell us, oh, I was at that meeting. Because it just feel like, oh, you were there. So.
That was an incredible, I remember from that suite, I had such a panic attack. Okay. Literally, I had a panic attack because I was so uncomfortable making presentations. I tend to forget my English when it comes to big crowds of presenting in person. Literally, that's my weakness. And I remember Amanda being in the front and being so full of. We always tagged along, team up with Amanda, but that was incredible that you got us, such an incredible community and caring and loving group that literally supported us when we had literally just a small room. We didn't have a suite. Okay.
And I remember that, my goal was to, because I really, by this time, by July, like this was a great product. And I was actually using it. I looked at my List Perfectly account, and I think that my account was created on March 21st, 2019. And so I had been using it for a couple of months. And by this time, I absolutely believed in the product. And I remember Steve Rakin Profits, he set up his whole thing. He was gathering content, which I thought was a genius thing. And people were scheduled and would go to his room. And I did a couple of shows for him. And I said, hey, you need to talk to these guys. And so they had you on. And I think I introduced you to Casey. And I don't know, to people that I knew had a large audience that could appreciate this and see the value in it. And so I really think that that's where my value came in at that eBay Open in 2020 was I believed in the product. I saw what the value was. And then I made the connections to the people that I knew in the community. And it just kind of had this ripple effect.
That's just a little ripple effect, 100 signups overnight. And by the way, it was just me and Amanda.
I know, crazy. So I mean, it's fun for me to reminisce about that, just because I think, oh my gosh, how far have we come? And, just the product itself, how much developed and the different features. And one thing that I want to get, and you guys probably have this, I want to have, so side note, little thing for the timeline, the little logos that you guys have developed over the thing, like I don't have a copy of the first logo with the the 4 platforms.
I do.
Yeah, so I think you should put that on your timeline.
Okay.
When you talk about you added this platform, put that little logo, because we can. I talk about it was a little tiny square, and it was like, well, now what are we going to do? Okay, now it's perfect. What are we going to do when the next one? And so I just, for whatever reason, that logo, it's not even a logo, but the transformation of all the different platforms was a fun thing for me to see.
Yeah, that was it, and we were adding channels as quickly as we could back in that day. Like I think there was a time when we were adding a new channel a month, and
which is crazy.
It is. It's crazy, and just to, when we first launched, we only had 4. Yeah, there they are. Clara's showing her phone right now. And that's not the original.
Not the original. That's not the original. Okay. But this is one that I can just pull real quick on my phone.
Sure. Yeah. Back when we first launched, we had 4. We always had 4. Then from day one, it was Mercari, Poshmark, eBay, and Etsy.
Yep.
And you had the 4 squares with the little LP logo in the center.
Yep. We'll get that. It's good suggestion.
I just think it would be great to add on the timeline.
Absolutely. No taken. We always love your recommendations. So since we're talking about that, and we talk about, going to eBay 2019 and how, you were testing the product from March, okay? eBay, it was in August, end of July, right? The end of July, right?
Yep.
Now, how do you think, how has List Perfectly changed your business?
Well, it's a no-brainer. Like, I was just listing on eBay, and I had it completely. So what was great about List Perfectly, I think, is the timing with the pandemic, which of course none of us could have seen or predicted or planned for, but it was just a perfect time. And I think it was perfect for you guys too, because, for 2 years we're locked down at home and we're doing this. And what happened for me was my Amazon business was completely retail arbitrage. And so I would go out 1 or 2 days a week, and I would just source and shop and do all that stuff and then send it into Amazon. And that was a very thriving business. That was where the core of my money at the time was coming from. And so we get shut down, and Amazon's not taking anything but essentials because they have no workers to unpack the boxes. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But I had already built up, this is probably part of the reason of me taking down my Poshmark closet twice is because by the time the pandemic hit, I was home and I'm like, yeah, this isn't working, but I had the time because I wasn't going anywhere. So I might as well just make this, let me turn it down and start over and do it right. And so, yeah, so it's very easy. Just the timing with the pandemic and everything, very easy to like, well, let me cross post 500 listings to Citizen and see how that works. And then, let me try this over here. Let me try. And one of the things that I really liked about List Perfectly in the beginning was that you didn't dictate which listings I cross posted. Like it wasn't like my last 10, my newest 10 or my oldest 10. It was like, I went to my eBay store and I sorted things and I was like, I sorted by I have a category for kids clothing. And I just took all those and cross-posted to the List Perfectly catalog. And then I cross-posted it out to Citizen. And that made it so easy because if I had 4,000 listings at the time and I'm having to go back 10 listings at a time to my newest listings to click, like that would just take forever. So, and I don't have time. That's why I never copied and pasted. I still have all my pictures on my computer, but I didn't want to spend the time hunting for pictures and cross-posting, copy, paste. To me, that's what you hire a VA for.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't have any VAs. So, yeah, so it was changed me. I don't think I ran numbers for, let's see. Yeah, so for 2020, I removed from all my sales, I removed eBay and I removed Amazon. And I averaged an extra $2,200 a month by cross post. And this is the same 4,000 or 5,000 items at this time I was selling on eBay. By cross posting them and getting them on getting different eyes on them, I was selling things. Etsy turned out to be a good platform for me. And then in 2021, I ran my numbers and I was just under $3,000 a month in sales from those other platforms if you remove eBay and Amazon. And so my goal is to get those up to 4,000 for 2022, which I think is going to be a tall order because we're in Q2 and I haven't really changed anything yet. And I am going to be, changing up, doing more sourcing, doing different kind of sourcing. I have all my death pile stuff listed. And so now I'm going to focus more on more retail arbitrage and get my ASP higher and, just do a bunch of things. But that's my goal, is to be able to have an extra $48,000 of income on platforms that weren't my two original, and only because of List Perfectly.
That's
a good goal.
I like to shoot high. I'll be honest, if I make 4,000, I will be surprised. But on one hand, and the other side, I'm thinking that's going to be easy. I still have 8 months out of the year.
Yes.
I still have 8 months to make it happen. So I could make it happen.
Yep. Yes, you can.
So the term elevator pitch, what's your elevator pitch for List Perfectly? So let's say we get on an elevator, literally, and I'm like, okay, Theresa, why List Perfectly?
So what I tell people is, hey, I've been a reseller for over 25 years. And I can tell you that I've seen a lot of different things in the reselling community. This one is a game changer, like sliced bread. And then the last one, what do you mean? Well, I was selling on these platforms and it makes it so fast and easy. And, I was running tests yesterday and I was with eBay's new listing flow. I don't like it, but I have my listings in List Perfectly and I'm listing there. And I'm cross-posting out to the eBay new listing flow. And I was talking to somebody else in the community and they were talking about it's awful. It's so slow. It has to do this. And I'm like, it's not awful for me. And so I'm thinking that we're on two different A/B tests for eBay. It's got to be that, because I don't know. I forget the numbers yesterday, but I did 10 at first and I got them all cross-posted to eBay with the right category. One of the frustrating things is that eBay keeps defaulting my store category. And so I have to change that. And the new listing flow isn't as good as picking my shipping policies as the classic listing flow. So I'm happy. But there was like three clicks I could get it listed, which is still amazing for an eBay listing. But it was under 30 seconds to take that listing from the List Perfectly catalog to eBay and get it posted and get it launched. And then I did 49 of them. And I said, I was messaging some friends of mine. I said, okay, I'm going to try 49 and time it. Well, I can't sit down in the middle of a Tuesday and try to cross post 49 without getting interrupted. So I have about I don't know, maybe 27 tabs open on my computer. These are the ones that I stopped in mid-process of doing. And, but yeah, so not my 3-second. My 3-second elevator pitch is, I've been a long-time reseller. This was a huge game changer after 25 years. Let me show you how to use it.
There you go.
I need to shorten my elevator pitch, don't I?
I think it's is it 15 seconds, they say? So
Yeah,
I think you're right in there.
It's usually one sentence short, and yeah. But no, your pitch is great. Everybody's going to have a different pitch, and that's what I love.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, and it depends on what the questions would be, because I can do a pitch, and then they'll ask, well, what do you mean? How does it work? And then you just kind of have the conversation. So
exactly, yeah. And I love the community aspect. My pitch is the community aspect and the connected, accessible CEOs, because that's part of it. Because as as well as I do, Theresa, and I love eBay too. I'll always love eBay, even though she broke up with me. I still love her. Let's not to name any names, but we know a particular CEO that didn't interact with sellers much. And I had some seller friends that accidentally walked into a room that he was in with all his security guards, and there was a bit of a to-do. But
that was not my experience with that CEO.
Yeah.
One-on-one. For whatever reason. I mean, I get it, but he was very open. He was very open to having a conversation. Like when he remembered who I was at the first eBay Open, I was like, oh my gosh. But and then I think the last eBay Open that he was at, which was 2019, I mean, I must have run into him 4 or 5 times, and he was taking pictures and answering questions. And I think it's probably timing, where he's at, what he's doing, whatever.
But I think too, it's the people that surround him too. Is like, I think we talked about this yesterday. It's like, you submit questions to the VP or and I used to be one of the ones that would write the answers. And it's like, they'd be vetted and they would go through all these different things. But I think part of the and when all these pieces come together that people don't know about, it really goes back to Clara and Amanda being accessible and connected. And it's like, you literally go back to, we could only afford one ticket. One of us was in talking to people. One of us was outside handing out flyers. And then somebody else had a suite where we went and presented. And then, it just kind of goes from there. And it's like one of those things is, people will say, make this go viral, but you can't. Part of it's luck. I mean, it has to be quality, but there's a lot of quality stuff out there. But part of it's luck, but a big part of it is connection. And that's my elevator pitch for List Perfectly.
Yeah,
but, and like it's different for everybody.
Yeah, and List Perfectly has been amazing with the community. I mean, like they had the vision of the community was going to be everything from day one. And I remember when and this was a pet project of Clara's, and she loved doing this, and I loved it, that she would give away mystery inventory boxes. And so they were trying to get rid of their inventory and clean out their garage and do that, because like they realized like this is too big. We're probably never going to go back to being a full-time reseller. But when they ran out of inventory, then they started buying from their subscribers. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best giveaway. So, and imagine me, I've been around whatever, and I'm not one of those people that look to see where my item's going. It's like slap the label on, get it out the door. Like I got things to do. But I remember I sold a jacket that was MSRP $199.99, and I sold it for $199.99. I was like, oh my gosh, who bought that? And it looked at it, and it was going to Phoenix, and it was Clara. And I'm like, what did you do? And she's like, so she didn't buy a $50 item. She probably bought the most expensive new item I had in my store. Yeah. And I was just like, so it's like, she could have bought a $50 item and put it in the box so somebody else could resell it. But just the whole giving back to the community that way. And I found out like she bought a Virginia Tech t-shirt from somebody else. And I was like, well, why did you buy that from her? She's like, well, because my name's Virginia. So it was like, oh, like, and it was those kind of things that she connected with, and she saw value that she could put in these boxes. And that was just like, this is, to me, it was a genius marketing thing. It was a way to give back to the community twice. Once by the person you bought it from, the second time by the person that you gave the box to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just all the giveaways, all the different things, supporting Posh and Sip, supporting different sellers doing whatever, reseller remix. You know, that's my gig with Katie and Vicky, and you guys were on board from day one. And it was like, you didn't even know what it was going to be like. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to be there. We'll be your primary sponsor. And they're like, oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. And I remember thinking that, are they doing this because they really believe in this? Or are they doing this because it's kind of like a payback? And I'm guessing it was probably a little bit of both. And it worked out because it was successful. But if it wasn't successful, I don't think that you guys would have said, oh, we shouldn't have done that, you know, whatever. It just, you guys just are so giving and generous to the community, just beyond. I mean, laptops. How many laptops have you guys given away? Like
a lot.
I know. It was great. Like, who does that? List perfectly.
It goes both ways, Teresa. The way you believe in us is the way we believed in you. And it's a two-way street. You know, if it's the relationships we create, and if you don't value the relationships like that, then, you know, it's not going to work. And we knew that it had to be a two-way street. And thank you again. You know, we believe in you like you believe in us. And that's why it works so well.
You know, I have to say that I have worked for, I've worked for many women in my life, but they always had the guy above, the person above them making the real decisions was always male. And so working with you two, the biggest thing, and I tell people all the time, is that and you guys say this all the time, like, this isn't ours. We didn't build this. Everybody, you know, I'll be on calls with different people and like, we built this. Yep. And the biggest thing is that if it was one man or two men running this company, it would be, this is our company. This is our idea. You guys are lucky to be along for the ride. And you guys have never, ever said that, projected that, acted like that. Everything was always about, this is ours. We built this. And I was like, oh, I did this little tiny piece of it. And, you know, it's like, okay. And I'm having fun and doing my thing. And I get to still interact with the community. And like, this is all fun for me. So, and you know what? I think it's fun for a lot of the people that you guys work with. And that's why you have so many people that are working with you. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, Theresa. You know, I got to give Clara a lot of kudos. I mean, she's
absolutely,
you know, she really, really embraces the community, and she's the one that came up with all the ideas. You know, before I don't think anybody was, not even eBay was giving away laptops before she started doing it. And, you know, I mean, really, you know, you set a trend there. No one else did that before Clara. No one else was giving away, you know, really quality, and I mean quality mystery boxes. Like, you heard about some of the mystery boxes that were going out from some other people that were dubious quality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, not Clara. So I got to give you a lot of kudos there.
and the community embraced it. And like, if you were one that won it, they were like, oh my gosh, look what I got. Like, everybody was excited about it. And I think what I really liked about the laptops is, for the most part, everybody that won a laptop was somebody that really needed it to boost their business to the next level. And you guys have always been talking about, this is what's going to take. We want our sellers, our subscribers, our community to be successful. And we want to do whatever we can. And if it means we give a laptop giveaway, let's give a laptop giveaway. Like, it's going to change somebody's life. And I really think that, I mean, I talk to enough people in the community. I do the weekly listing 101 parties with listing 101
sessions.
Thank you. And, you know, people are on there going, oh my gosh, this has been a game changer. And that's what everybody says, game changer. That's the word they all use. It's increased my business. My business has done this. And, you know, I work less and I make more, you know, all that stuff. Like, you guys know, because you guys were doing it before you shared this wonderful tool with the community.
So would you mind if we come back real quick to that eBay, the new eBay listing form? Because I don't know that everybody knows, you know, about new, old eBay listing form. Would you would you say that using List Perfectly with the new listing form is faster?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I was shocked that when I was talking to some people in the community, like we did time tests and theirs was not faster. So I've done the testing, I've done the timing of it, and I'll probably do some more this weekend when I have uninterrupted time and actually try to cross post 50 at a time and see what these 50 listings that are in List Perfectly, what the time is. But my guess it's going to be, I can do 50 to eBay. My guess is going to be in under 30 minutes.
All right. Can't wait to hear the.
Because it's less than a
Yeah.
minute each. It's less than 30 seconds each.
Okay.
And so it just depends. Like there was one that I did in the first batch where I had to change the category so that I have to hit recopy and List Perfectly fills in all this stuff again. But for the most part, the stuff that I'm listing, and I did different things. I did men, women's, children's clothing, shoes. I did some household goods. I was really trying to test the different categories out. And for the most part, eBay's AI is still holding up. They're picking up the right item specifics and everything from the title. I don't like the new listing form because you have to open up all these windows. And in the classic listing form, eBay, it was all in like one sheet and you have to scroll, but eBay would give you suggestions and I would just look at the suggestions. And if they suggested something that applied to my listing, I clicked. And so it was click, 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 done. And I am not going to go and do the pull down menu and scroll and find the right thing. Is it acrylic? Is it synthetic? Like, I'm not going to do that. But if eBay says, okay, the popular choice is synthetic, and I'm like, oh yeah, mine's synthetic, then I'll click that. And so I'm just testing this out. I am noting which listings were done with the new listing flow. And I'm going to see if they take longer to sell, if there's more information, if the listing has, by me doing it so quickly and fast to get through as many as I did, if I'm missing too many item specifics.
There you go.
Recommended item specifics. So, this is the way that I test this kind of stuff out as. And it's, I just started doing it because, I don't know, talking to some people at eBay, I think it was the last seller check-in call. They were talking about, yes, we're going to be moving to this new listing flow, and I'm still not a fan of it. And I'm sure that eBay thinks that, all of us old timers, it'll just take time for us to get adjusted and get used to it. And frankly, I'm not doing it because it's faster for me to list and List Perfectly and cross-post over to eBay. So that's what I'm spending my time on, is timing that to see how that works. And so back to your question, Amanda, I do think that listing and List Perfectly is very, very fast. You guys changed the listing flow maybe a year ago now, and it is so fast and easy, and I love, love, love it. And now, so my listings all get done in List Perfectly first, and then I just cross post them out, and it's been so easy to do it to eBay.
Yeah, I bring that up because, one of the things that we really believe at List Perfectly is that your listings are going to be better when you list directly on the marketplace, because you are actually seeing all those item specifics and you can optionally fill them out or not. And so, even we get this question all the time. What about all eBay specifics? How do they get filled out? Well, their eBay AI is getting better and better and better, and it's assisting you to fill a lot of them out. Not all of them, but that's where you get the opportunity to fill them in if you want.
And that's my favorite, how when you start listings natively in List Perfectly, I love your magic, how you did it play so well with eBay's AI. That's where you get to save time, because LP is not fighting eBay. It's getting along with eBay so you can speed up the publishing process of your listing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, like I said, I think one listing at a time is 25 to 27 seconds. But, when I'm testing those don't have any issues. I'm not having to change categories. So I wanted to do bulk, that I'm going to have issues. And I did have like, okay, this category is wrong. And I had to go back, and this, every one of them I have to change the store category. And every one of them I'm having, if eBay's AI defaults to my default business policy, which is anything from 1 to 16 ounces. So anything that was 1 to 16 ounces was just like, it was already done. That's not an extra click. But anything that was 1 to 2 pounds or 2 to 3 pounds, that was an extra click. And so I needed a bigger sample to get a better idea of, you know, I'm not just listing items that are under a pound, because that's not fair, because that's one less click. So I'll play around with it this weekend, and I'll probably do a batch of 25 and see how long that takes me. Then do a batch of 50, see how long that takes me. And the perk is, by the end of the weekend, I'll probably have 300 new listings on eBay.
So we've covered a lot. Amanda, Clara, anything to add? Anything else to ask?
Yeah. So Teresa, what's your favorite part about our community, please?
Well, I mean, I love the community. I love the reseller community. My favorite hour of the week, I do this listing 101 for List Perfectly, and I kind of show people how to use List Perfectly. People come on and answer their questions, and you know, I like communicating. I like talking to the community. I like being able to show them the new stuff that's coming up, but I also learn from people, because I do things one way. But, you know, if you've used List Perfectly long enough and you are open to it, there are 2 or 3 different ways to end a listing or market sold. There's 2 or 3 different ways to start a listing. There's more than one way. And sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then it's like, oh, I kind of like that, and I'll try it. And then that's the way I use it. So I like the give and take from the community. You know, I do the 101 because I'm a quote unquote expert user, but I'm not. I'm just a person using it the way that I use it. And so I get to interact with all the other quote unquote expert users, because they're experts in their business, in their way that they're using it. And a lot of times people go like, oh, I didn't know that. Or they'll say, well, this is the way I do it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And so as often as I test things and run things, I still get in my rut of the way that I do things. I mean, Amanda knows we had a call last week because she's like, let's get on a call. I don't think you're doing this the most efficient way. Sure enough, I wasn't. It's like, here I am out there preaching to the choir. Hey, this is how it works. And she's like, no, you need to skip all those steps and just do it this way. And I was like, yeah, this is what happens when you just do it the way that you're used to doing it, which is what we do, because rote memorization is the fastest way to get stuff done. So
that's right. What makes so unique, okay, your sessions, okay, is that they are not going live on YouTube, and you don't need to come show your face in camera. It's a Zoom session, okay, and it's not being, let's say, recorded for publishing purposes. And that's very important, because it's like I notice it's a very different audience from what I get, you know, when I go live on Fridays, and I love it. That's the beauty of List Perfectly and community, that we can reach different, possibly community members or LP members, and completely show them a completely different way of using List Perfectly and perspective about it.
Yep. So another part of 2019 is that we were fortunate enough to have Poshmark, Poshfest in Phoenix. And by the time we found out about it, like, they were sold out. And so I was online or whatever, and I'm like, okay, let's, I think I found somebody that had 2 tickets. We have 2 tickets and we could do this. And then, okay, let's just do it. And then I think we found a 3rd ticket, because I think we did pay for all 3 tickets for Poshmark.
Yep.
And then our friend Trish Glenn was coming from Boston, Massachusetts, and she was coming out, and she was like, I don't know, I'm coming, but I don't know if I'm going to Posh. I mean, let's go to Poshfest. Let's go to Poshfest and let's teach people about List Perfectly. And we did. And so funny part about that, so you talk about, you know, did you believe in us, and that trust factor, is that I remember you guys saying, let us pay you for the tickets. Let us pay. I'm like, nope, this is me trusting in you. This is me. Like, this is I'm investing in you. Because at that point, I'm like, you guys were getting some sales, you were doing some stuff, but I still didn't want to be like, okay, well, you guys are making money now, like, I'm out. No, I really still did believe in you. And so that was a huge eye opener for me. That was my first initiation into like Posh world. And like, I didn't really know, except for, you know, different things online. And it's a different group of people. They are just as passionate as eBay sellers. They're just as, you know, they are successful and great sellers, and doing the same thing that we're doing, and trying to shop, source, and list and sell. And it was just great. It was that event was an eye-opener for me as a reseller. And, being able to go and talk about List Perfectly there was amazing. And, made a lot of good contacts, made a lot of good people. And, being able to like tell people about it and pull up the laptop and show them. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I can cross-post to eBay. Yeah, you can. So, and I remember having a conversation with Manesh and telling him like, you know what, I am a diehard eBay seller, but I am here because this software allowed me to quickly and easily sell on your platform. And I'm not there yet. I'm not a big seller, but I know I can be because of this. And so, I wish eBay and Poshmark are the only two platforms that have these kind of events. I wish more platforms, like I would love to go to an Etsy event. I would love to go to a Mercari event. For whatever reason, that's not their marketing thing. I would love to go to a Kitizen event just so I could learn how to use that platform. Yeah. But I think it was just a huge eye opener and a great segue for me personally as a seller to get on the platform. And but after that, the world shut down, and then we're just all sitting in our basements doing Zoom calls.
But thank you for bringing that up. Speak about, Amanda, of being the stars aligned for List Perfectly to go viral. It's like one thing after the other, and everything we were doing, it just took off. And I remember people telling me, oh, we can help you with advertising. I'm like, no, if anything, remember that I have to stay silent. I didn't even want to promote the pro plan. I have no instructions, okay? Remember, we have so many people. We were crashing every 2 hours. I still remember Vicky being like, Clara, sorry, would you mind just putting LP back online? I don't want to bother you, but and these people, they're paid customers. And I'm like, oh my God, just let me know. And I'm like, Amanda, we were going offline every 2 hours. We have to stop signups. We have to put a waiting list. We have to close the List
and
group.
Just FYI, because this will just show you that I'm not always the smartest one around. But when you guys said we're going to do a waiting list, I'm like, oh, that's not going to be good. But again, I did not understand still like what was happening. It's the picture of the duck. Like above the water, the duck is like, oh, we're having a great time. Underneath, you're just swimming.
Yes.
and I remember because I remember telling you guys, I think that was a bad idea. The community's not going to do it. And the community did accept it, embrace it, and it allowed, and I now know that you guys did it because if you didn't, you'd have new users that would have a bad experience and you would lose them forever. And that's the wisdom that you guys have as CEOs and founders, and this is your baby and you know how it works. And just me being the dumb reseller community person selling my stuff online that didn't see that vision. And so, again, you guys had way more wisdom than I did, but it absolutely worked and it paid off. And people were anxious because, there was all the buzz. People were anxious to, oh, I got in. We're going to let 500 more people in tonight. Is it you? Like everybody, oh, I got in. Okay, I'm going to go crosspost. See you later. And it was just a fun buzz. It was a fun time in the community. It was very exciting. We hadn't had anything this exciting for a very long time.
Yeah. I remember Vicky, Amanda reminded me, Katie and Vicky YouTube channel. Vicky reminded me she was in the waiting list number 87.
Oh, wow.
People remember their number on the waiting list. That blows my mind. There was a thread on the List Perfectly Facebook group. And then I think that Patty Kaufman was like, I was number so and so. I was like, oh my God, they remember.
Wow.
Because they remember because it was a life changer. It was a game changer for our reselling community. So, all because you guys decided that, hey, we got this. We think the community could use it. Let's share it. And as we know, sharing what you guys did, it's not like you could just say, okay, let's just make this available to everybody, because it's not that easy. And that's where all the time and effort went, was to make it so that it could be available for the masses.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to add?
Would you like to add anything else for our audience, Teresa? Our audience, whether it's someone that already knows List Perfectly or maybe doesn't, what would you add? What would you tell them about you or List Perfectly or reselling journey?
So, a lot of times, like, it's easy for a seller like me that has 6,000 listings to know that this is a no-brainer. You need to do this. But for a new seller, I tell them that, yeah, I think there's a place for this for you because you could grow faster. It took me 25 plus years to get to 6,000 listings. You don't need to wait 25 years. But if you want to grow your business and you want to make, I tell people for 15 years, I earned $800 to $1,000 on eBay. And that was just my play money. And I never thought about making this real money. And so if you want to make $800 to $1,000 just doing the same thing that you're doing now, get the simple plan, get the business plan, spend a couple of bucks each month to make that 2,000. I figured out that to make the extra $3,000 a month, so an extra $36,000 a year with the pro plan, it cost me less than $900. So would you spend $900 to get $36,000? I would.
Numbers geek.
So if you are a smaller seller that think, oh, that's not for me, I would encourage you to take a look at it. Join one of my listing 101 calls. We change them around every 6 to 8 weeks or something. Right now, they're being held on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. We'll probably change that in the next month or so to a different date and time to try to accommodate more sellers and their schedules. But join that and I'll show you, I'll demo it for you. Reach out to me personally. I'll do a Zoom call. I do Zoom calls for people to demo it. Well, this is why I think you should use it. This is what I would do if I was a new seller. And, I do this because I like to. I like the community. I want the community, like you guys, I want everybody to be successful.
Yeah.
And so, so don't think that this is just for people that have 3,000, 5,000 listings. This is for we're all jealous. If you're a newbie, we're jealous because you can start off what we had to you're not going to have to delete your Poshmark closet 2 times before you get it right, because we're going to show you how to do it right. And so, that's what I would tell them is there's a use and a plan for every type of seller.
Well said, Theresa. Pearls of Wisdom by Theresa Cox.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was good. Well, thank you so much, Theresa, for taking the time. And always thanks, Clara and Amanda, my co-hosts, for taking the time. But great to, I kind of just sat back and watched you all reminisce. And that was fun to see and see you all go back to, those. Guerrilla marketing is basically what it was, and it's a great concept that not a lot of people do or understand, and it works.
It worked. And what's interesting is we only had, I don't even think I had a List Perfectly shirt at that time. I maybe wore it one day to eBay. Maybe I did have one, but it's it's not like there was hundreds of shirts going around, but people knew, tell me about this List Perfectly. What's going on with List Perfectly? Have you heard about List Perfectly? It was really the buzz at eBay Open that year. And I can't wait for us to have another live eBay opening because I can imagine that List Perfectly isn't going to be doing guerrilla marketing. I can imagine List Perfectly is going to have an authentic, real booth, and we can, I will volunteer my time. I will stand there and I will help. And I would love to talk to sellers at eBay Open and, or, the next Posh Fest, whatever it's going to be. Now that the world is starting to open back up, it's going to be exciting for resellers.
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
Instead of guerrilla marketing, will be the big gorilla in the room.
I like that.
Spelled differently.
I love it. This was amazing. Thank you again for your time, Theresa.
Yes, thank you. And again, congratulations on, I think, 6 appearances.
All right. I'm gonna pick up that gold watch, okay, guys?
Gonna have a robe.
It's gonna have a List Perfectly logo on the front.
Absolutely.